Hello, everyone. Welcome to Diego Knows. I am Diego. Today we are going to be talking about And Just Like That, Season 1, Episode 6. That's the new episode that just dropped yesterday. Okay, so this is a Sex and the City reboot. Those of you already know that. Okay, so to start off with, I don't know what this episode's called, but there's a lot of good stuff in this episode, believe it or not. A lot of bad stuff too, of course. So the episode begins with Carrie and Anthony are checking out their new place for Carrie to live. I guess Seema's there, but she's outside on the phone talking to her parents. And Anthony and Carrie are inside the kitchen, looking around the place. This is a huge place, gorgeous view in New York. Everything's white. Like I said, no paintings, no furniture, no nothing. It's just a white place with huge window walls so you can see the Hudson River. It's a beautiful view. And they're talking about it. Let's see here. We learned a couple of things about Anthony. Apparently, he's looking for a place himself because his I guess he mentions that Stanford didn't fuck him enough. Whatever. And Carrie says what I said. Like, why'd you have to tell me that? Like, I don't need to know that. He's like, I'm on a rebound. I'm going to talk about it. Okay, well, fine. Yeah, that's Anthony. He's that kind of a person. And I love Anthony. I think he's awesome. Okay, meanwhile, Seema's outside talking to her parents. Okay, and she's smoking a cigarette. And I guess she's kind of arguing with her parents about her boyfriend or something. About, I guess her parents think she's got a boyfriend or something, and she doesn't. But she's lying about it. And at one point, she tells them, while she's smoking a cigarette outside, she tells them, no, I don't smoke, Mom. I don't smoke, Dad. That kind of thing. So she's obviously lying. So that sets the tone for what's going on with this episode, all right? So she's lying to her dad. Carrie's having reservations about living downtown. She's never lived downtown before. Okay, so I guess Anthony and Seema, this is their first time meeting, and I think Seema's wearing like some sort of cheetah patterned coat or something, and Anthony goes like growl. Whatever the hell that means. I don't know. Okay. Carrie does not like the place, but she ends up buying it anyway. So she has dinner with her friends, with Miranda and Charlotte, and she tells them, yeah, I'm not in love with the place, but I bought it anyway. I already sent the papers. So I guess she's just, she's been living in her old apartment. Okay. And I'm glad they brought up this point here that I'm about to get to. Okay. Carrie says that they ask her about, what about your old apartment? Like, what's wrong with that place? And she says, well, I don't think I'm living in it. I feel like I'm retreating. Am I living or am I retreating? Good point. I've been saying that for a couple episodes now. Okay, Carrie's been regressing. She's been trying to go back in time. Okay, and this episode deals with that theme about going back in time and trying to be who you used to be, even though you're not there anymore. Life is about progress. It's about moving forward. Carrie's been going backwards ever since Big died. Okay, and this is just another example of it. It's like she's kind of starting to realize that. Like, hey, I'm not 29 anymore. I'm not 35 anymore. I'm 55. Why am I still living in the same place for 25 years? She even says, I don't want to be that person. I've had the same apartment for 25 years. She doesn't want to be that person. Good for her. We're starting to see some progress. We saw her retreating before. She said nothing. Now she's calling it out. That's the first step. Okay, you got to name the problem before you can start fixing it. Okay, and she finally does that. She's not living. She's been retreating, and that's absolutely correct. She has been retreating. Okay, so good points for that. At least now we're aware of something that the characters are doing. Now she's aware of it. Okay, so she can move forward now that she's named it. Okay, living in the future better than living in the past. That's kind of her judgment on the new apartment. That she'd rather live in the potential for more rather than live what she's already been. Okay, she has a history with her apartment. She has no history with this new apartment. So which one's better? I say you got to move forward. She doesn't have to live in that apartment, but she needs to move forward with her life. She needs to live somewhere new. If she just stays in the same apartment, she's never going to progress. She's never going to go anywhere. Well, she can progress, but it's going to be a lot harder. It's going to be a lot harder for her to progress when she's surrounded by her past. One day, you go to sleep, you're 29 years old, you wake up one day, you're 56, and everything still pretty much looks the same. Yeah, that's not good. All right. So good for her. She's moving on. Now, we flash forward to Charlotte. She's there with her daughters, Lily and Rose, who's now Rock. My name is Rock. You could on the block. Don't want to be a flock. Wish I had an L-O-C-K, Rock. R-O-C-K, Rock. Rock. Yeah, that one. Remember? I know I did. Okay, so she said, yes, I said she. She tells her mom, she will get rid of that painting and get rid of those dolls. I don't like it. And she's like, oh, you mean my Madame Alexander International doll collection? And then Lily, the Asian girl they adopted, she's like, those are culturally inappropriate. I'm embarrassed to bring my friends over here. She's like, but well, and Lily, she even calls out her mom, like, hey, you know what? Maybe once upon a time, back in the day, it was okay to have those dolls, but nowadays it is not okay to have those dolls. Okay, it is that's racism. She doesn't say that, but she says it without saying it, And I'm just like, okay, cultural or what does she call it? Culturally inappropriate. Like, who the hell makes these rules? Okay, because they can't get their fucking story straight. Okay, so it's culturally inappropriate to have these girl dolls. Each one of them are from a different country, so they have a different type of dress on because they're all from different countries. You can't get more diverse than that, but apparently that's culturally inappropriate because you're assuming that because they're from that place that they're going to dress like that. This is all bullshit. It doesn't need to be in there, but and the fact that the kids are correcting the parents on this is just a new level of low here. There's nothing wrong with that. You want the doll. You don't want the dolls there. Don't get rid of the dolls, but don't do it because it's culturally inappropriate. Do it because you just don't like them. Everything is culturally inappropriate. If you think about it, Coca-Cola is culturally inappropriate. Your microwave is culturally inappropriate. Your shoes are culturally inappropriate. Your underwear is culturally inappropriate. Okay, something that you think is an appropriation of another culture is someone else's culture. Okay, and yes, Americans, we have our own culture. Cheeseburgers are culturally inappropriate. Who gives a fuck? Why is this even an issue? Why does this even need to be out there? Why should you fear being judged? Because you own something. It's just stupid. It's stupid. Anyway, but apparently that's where they're going. Okay, so meanwhile, we get to 30 seconds of my life that I'll never get back. Miranda is fantasizing. Yeah, and we know who she's fantasizing about. And let me tell you something. This is like... There's a movie I saw once called How to Lose a Guy or something. It's one with, you've seen it with Kate Hudson and Matthew McConaughey. Like how to lose a guy in 7 days or some shit like that. Something like that, Kate Hudson and Matthew McConaughey. You've seen the movie, right? There's a scene in there where Matthew McConaughey says, talk about shooting down a man's horse. Yeah, mine got shot pretty well too. Not once, but twice in this episode. It's like, I wish I could have the enthusiasm that Miranda has, who directed this episode. Cynthia Nixon directed this episode, so that should tell you something. That Miranda has later on. But yeah, here, I'll just give you a little preview, all right? Tell me you like it. Tell me you want it. Does that feel good? Ooh. Let me blow on you. Yeah. And I that was enough right there. I don't need to do it again. I know you don't want me to do it again. I don't want to do it again. I wanted to give you just a little bit of a taste of what I had to experience. Okay? It's a good thing I'm fasting right now. There's no food in my stomach. No food in my stomach. It's a good thing. Anyway, so after I endured that, we find out that Miranda is hanging out with Professor Nia Wallace, who, by the way, if those of you who don't know, that's the same name as Uma Thurman's character from Pulp Fiction, okay? Yeah. All right, so anyway, the black professor lady. Okay, so they're hanging out, and of course, because she's the professor and Miranda is her student, the professor's going to spill the beans on her personal life to Miranda and ask her for some advice, okay? Nia gets a phone call from one of her husband's friends. There's a couple, Fertile Myrtle, because apparently every time they see her, she's always got another baby coming out, so she's always getting pregnant and having kids, and so they call her Fertile Myrtle. And it makes Nia feel bad that they're always bringing it, because they're always change the conversation to, when are you going to have kids? Nia, when are you and your husband going to have kids? What's wrong? Why don't you have them yet? What, you're not getting younger, there's some fertilization clinics that can help you out. You want to give you a phone number? Huh? Huh? What's taking so long, Nia? Huh? You know? Like that kind of thing. She feels that way whenever she's around them. So she can't. So rather than just tell them, and Myrtle in particular, hey, quit fucking talking about babies. I'm gonna have babies when me and my husband decide we're gonna have babies, and it's none of your business. So you please keep bringing it up. I would really appreciate it. Instead of doing that, she's just gonna be change the subject. Maybe I can manipulate her to not talk about it. Maybe I can control the situation here. You know, it makes me feel so bad every time she talks about it. Every time she brings it up, I feel guilty. I feel ashamed. Get the fuck. I just tell her, don't bring it up anymore. That's it. Problem solved. All right. Now, here's what's happening here. Okay, now you've got two new main characters on the show. Okay, Seema is no longer a side character. Okay, she is now an official cast member of the show. All right, because now we're dealing with Seema's personal problems. She's going to have her own story arc now. Okay, Nia as well is now a permanent regular cast member of the show. Okay, now there's going to be storylines focused on her too. Okay, so you got two new members of the show, both people of color. Nothing wrong with that, but this was supposed to be about the four core girls. We lost one. If we're going to add two new cast members into that circle, you know, of the three girls, then there needs to be an interaction amongst all five of the women together as a core. That way they can bounce, you know, ideas off of each other and banter off of each other, instead of it just being the three core women and then these two satellite women that have their own story arcs going on, but not necessarily connected to the other three. One or two of the other three, that's it, but not the other three. For example, Carrie and Charlotte have never even met Nia. Okay? Miranda and Charlotte have never met Seema. You see what I mean? But yet Seema and Nia are main characters now on the show. They're going to get their own story arcs. They're going to get focuses on their own, you know, character developments, and their own characters that are in their own lives are going to be part of the show now as well. You see? So that's not really good writing here. It kind of seems to me, I know they would never do this, but it seems to me like they're just forcing these people of color into the show just to have them into the show, even though they really don't have anything to do. You know, do you kind of feel that? Because that's kind of what I'm getting. And if that's the case, okay, it's the wrong reason to put these characters in the show. Don't put them in the show, just give them superficial stories that have nothing to do with the three core main characters, okay? Okay, that's not the way you tell a story, okay? It sounds to me like you're just putting them in there just to put them in there. So you can have it on the credits. Oh, we got a black woman there, and then we got an Indian woman there. See? Go us. You see what I mean? That kind of seems what I'm getting here. Okay, before there were satellite characters, like the way Stanford and Anthony were. They show up every once in a while. They interact with one of the characters, maybe two at the most, you know, and that's it. Okay? We don't delve into their lives. Now we're delving into their lives. You see what I mean? This is the episode that officially makes them two main characters on the show now. All right? So I'm calling that out for what it is. It might change, but I don't think it will. The way this show's going, I don't think it will. All right? So there's that going on here. Fertile Myrtle. They go, Carrie and Seema go Indian dress shopping or something. I guess they go to a store that sells Indian dresses. I think she called it a Divai, or that's the celebration they have. I don't know what it is. I'm not Indian. I'm not going to pretend to culturally appropriate anything. All right. I have no idea about Indian culture. All right. But they're there, and they're shopping for dresses. Seema doesn't like the fact that her parents are always pressuring her to marry. Like, she should marry. You need to get married. You know, they're always putting that pressure on her to get married. And she, you know, she doesn't want to go to this thing. It's called a Divai or whatever. And so Carrie offers to go with her. I guess, like I said, it's an Indian celebration. And Carrie saw an Indian dress that she wants to wear, but she's afraid to wear it because she's a white woman, you know. I know she's Jewish in real life, but I don't know if her character is Jewish. I don't think her character is Jewish on the show, but I know that she is Jewish. Well, her husband was Jewish. Big was Jewish. I know that because there's scenes where he wore the yarmulke, you know. I don't know if she's Jewish or not. They don't delve into religion too much on the show. I know she's Jewish in real life, but I don't think she's Jewish on the show. But I do know Big's character was Jewish. So I don't know. The point is that she is not Indian. And she wants to wear this dress, this Indian dress, but she's afraid that, you know, that's cultural appropriation. Well, Seema says, no, it's not cultural appropriation. It's cultural appreciation. Well, there you go, right there. All this all this stuff that you're seeing right now about cultural appropriation, it's not cultural appropriation at all. It never was. It was cultural appreciation. You see? It works. I actually agree with that. I agree with that 100%. I think that, like when I was a kid, I wanted to be Michael Jackson. I was a little boy, I wanted to be Michael Jackson. I had the red leather, the Beat It jacket, I tried to make my hair curly. I couldn't do nothing about my skin, but I wore the sunglasses, the white glove, the black pants. I could dance like Michael Jackson. It would be, no one wants to beat it. So, anyway, the point is that when I was a little kid, I wanted to be Michael Jackson, okay? Now, does that make me a racist now? Because in 1983, I wanted to be Michael Jackson. Does that make me a racist now in 2022? Because when I was a little kid, I wanted to be Michael Jackson? I think everybody wanted to be Michael Jackson back then. He was the most popular star in the world. Does that make me a racist? I don't think so. It definitely, my appreciation for Michael Jackson did not come from a place of hating black people. I didn't hate black people. Like I said, I loved Michael Jackson. I wanted to look like Michael Jackson. I was a kid, Does that mean I was culturally appropriating him? Because I dressed like Michael Jackson as a kid? I don't think so. I was doing it because I was a fan, because I loved his music, my favorite entertainer. I loved his music. I watched the Thriller video over and over again. Beat It. I learned to dance like him. Billie Jean. He was the biggest star in the world at the time. And I dressed like him for Halloween because I wanted to, because I loved Michael Jackson and still do. That doesn't make me a racist because I dressed like him. Of course not. So why should we do that today? Why should we now? Now I'm not talking about blackface. Okay, that's something totally different. Okay, that's a horrible thing to do. That's a terrible, absolutely terrible thing to do. I didn't agree with it in 1928 when they did The Jazz Singer, when Al Jolson did it in The Jazz Singer, in the very first talking movie of all time. I didn't agree with it back then. I don't agree with that now. I'm not talking about that. Okay, I'm talking about just being able to appreciate someone who happens to be a different skin color than you. I'm not talking about mocking them or parodying them, or patronizing them that way. No, not at all. I'm talking about appreciating them. That it is capable of appreciating somebody. And that's what I was doing as a kid. I was appreciating Michael Jackson. Okay? I wasn't mocking him. Okay? So you have to understand that there's a difference between, a kid dressing up as Michael Jackson in 1983 because he loved Michael Jackson, or Al Jolson in 1928, putting blackface on his face to do the first talking movie of all time. Big difference, big difference. Anyway, so she decides to buy the dress and she goes with Seema because to make Seema feel better. Her parents are going to be there. They're expecting her to have a boyfriend and stuff, and she doesn't, of course. Okay, Charlotte and Carrie go to the storage unit where her stuff is at to try to look for something to bring into the new apartment so it can seem more friendly to her, more homely for her. She finds an old yellow lamp from the 80s. She finds that big Mexican sombrero hat that we saw in the trailer last week that she never actually wore it in this episode. But we saw it in the trailer. That huge sombrero-like sun hat, it just looked ridiculous. It was like a Speedy Gonzalez hat, but bigger, Anyway, but she's there. Anyway, she has a grievance attack, like an anxiety attack out of grief. When she opens up a box and Big's records are in there. And they start playing the song, Hello, It's Me by Todd Rundgren. They start playing the musical version of that in the background. And it brings up those feelings for Big. We haven't really thought about Big that much lately. He comes up every once in a while. We don't dwell on that subject. All the characters wisely change the subject, but now it's like right in her face. Big's record collection. No, he loved his records. We've always known that. I still remember that episode he did. I think it was in season 5 or season 6 where he did a commentary for Moon River from Breakfast at Tiffany's. Remember? Moon River, softly, when Audrey Hepburn was singing it. Well, he did the commentary for that. He explained to Carrie why this music was so special to him. So I know he was a music aficionado, And for her to see his record collection, yeah, I could see that. Like my wife would, like she, if she saw like my comic book collection or something, yeah, I could say, because that's something that was precious to him, So I understand the grief. I actually felt sorry for Carrie. I was starting to get those feelings again, like I did on the show and things. When I loved Carrie. I loved her character, and I wanted her to succeed. And and nothing came easy for her all the time. Sometimes it did, sometimes it doesn't. It's coming a lot easier for her now because she's so freaking rich. But back when she wasn't, I kind of had more empathy for her. But this is one of those scenes where I totally understand her grief, and I was like, okay, yeah, you need a minute. I'm gonna give you that minute. I'm not gonna dwell on you dwelling on your grief. I'm going to let you do that. Let you appreciate your grief. I'm going to respect your grief. So that happens. So they end up leaving there. Charlotte, for some stupid reason, has Carrie's orange box cutters with her in her purse. Who knows why, but she does. It's her collection. Yeah, and Carrie realized she's not really ready to get all that memorabilia out of storage and bring it back to her place. She's not ready for that yet. Okay, so like I said, there's no color in her new apartment. Everything's white. Very boring. There's that beeping noise that keeps going off all the time. She doesn't know where it's coming from. They make a big plot point of that this episode. There's that beeping noise. Usually, like here, when I hear the beeping noise, it means that someone left the refrigerator open or the dishes are ready in the dishwasher. But here, she's checking all that stuff, and none of that is the cause of it. It's just that beeping keeps coming off and on, and they can't seem to find out what it is. We never find out where it's coming from ever in the episode. But it's annoying her. She can't sleep. It's just a metaphor for something else. There's something bugging at her, and she can't quite put her finger on it. And it's not the beeping. This is a way of storytelling, a way of saying something without saying something. Like for example, in that movie, Being the Ricardos. If you've seen that movie, the whole movie is about Lucille Ball trying to get this episode done. The one where Fred and Ethel Mertz are fighting with each other and trying to get them back together. So the whole movie, they're going out of their way to try to find out how to do the lighting, how to get that. They even call the actors in real late at night to come in and redo the performance, how to change the script, how to get this written, how to get that written, where to move the camera, how to set up the whole thing, all that stuff. The sponsors, all that stuff is officially what that movie Being the Ricardos is about. It's about that 1 week they're working on one episode, but it's not. Okay, them working on one episode is a metaphor for what's really going on in the movie, which is all these people and their relationships with each other. About Lucy and Desi's marriage. That's what's really going on here. But it's all done through the metaphor of we got to make this episode happen. You see, that's what's happening here. Okay, they're trying to they're using the beeping noise as a metaphor for something that's bothering Carrie that she can't seem to find out where it's coming from and what it is. Okay, that's exactly what's happening. So that's good storytelling right there. That's the way you do it. All right. So once again we go into Nia's dinner date with her couple friends. With the fertile Myrtle is there and her husband, and of course Nia took Miranda's advice to just own the conversation, take charge of the conversation, make sure that this doesn't get brought up. And of course, she tries doing that. She actually comes across the way Miranda did in the first episode, where she's trying to be all anti-racist, and just kept talking and making herself look more racist. The more she kept talking. Well, that's kind of what Nia's doing. It pisses everybody off there. And of course, fertile Myrtle is pregnant again. And of course, they start giving Nia shit, like, oh, what about you? When are you gonna have a baby? When are you gonna be pregnant? What's taking you so long? But like the exact stuff that Nia did not want to talk about, did not want them to bring up. And the other husband there is like, you need to have some kids. And then he's like, oh, sorry about that. Sorry, I didn't mean to bring that up. And then not 2 minutes later, you know what? A couple like you needs to have kids. Like, what the fuck, dude? Like, you just apologize for doing it, and then 2 seconds later you do it again? I mean, come on. It's obviously it's a sore subject. If somebody, either Nia or her husband, should have been like, hey, I don't want to talk about that. Can we just not talk about that tonight? It's not a topic I'm comfortable with. Or her husband could have said, hey, my wife really it's been bothering her lately, so let's just not talk about that. Either one of them could have done that, but they didn't. They just kept the scene going. Elephants in the room, they're all ignoring it. That's not good storytelling. All right, so meanwhile, back at Miranda's place, she's over there masturbating, and Brady knocking on the door, like, hey, Mom, I just want to let you know. And of course, when her son's knocking on the door, you think Miranda's going to put that dildo, that vibrator away? Fuck no, she's going to go even harder. That way she can turn to oh, what is it, Brady? What do you want? Well, Mom, I just want to tell you that me and, I think her name's Esmeralda, his girlfriend, we're about to leave, and we're not going to come back till later. And she's like, okay, no problem. No. Like, Mom, are you okay? Yes, I'm fine. Just go ahead. Like, what the fuck is this, okay? This is some shitty fucking story. This is bad. This is all sorts of bad, all different levels of bad. Like, oh my God. Oh my God, all right? Most of us have gone down there and touched ourselves, okay? All right, it's a very private thing. All right? When your kid is on the other side of the door trying to have a conversation with you, okay, it's time to put that vibrator away. Okay? It's time to get the Johnson out of your hand, okay? Even if it's just for a minute. What the hell, man? You know, like my respect for Miranda just keeps going down and down and down. The more episodes of this show that I watch, it just keeps going down. Like, I don't think it can go any lower, but I'm sure they'll find a way, you know? Which sucks because when I watched the original Sex and the City, I had a lot of respect for Miranda. I didn't like her so much all the time, but I knew that she was a good person inside. Yeah, she was pessimistic. Yeah, she was bitchy. You know, she was condescending, you know? But I knew that place in her heart where that came from. It came from her own insecurities. It came from her own fear. This was her way of hiding her fear, was by taking it out on the world. So I could feel empathy for her. I feel no empathy for her on this show. She's just fucking crazy. She's not just a bitch. She's fucking crazy too. My God. That right there is a perfect analogy for who she is right now. She's more concerned about getting off than she is about talking to her son. Okay? This is just one example of that. All right. That happens. Go back to Nia and her husband. They're having sex. They're fucking. She's like, oh, after that cum, you probably got me pregnant, you know, and it's just nothing really happened. The scene's just there for us to know that Nia's husband loves her and he respects her and he's there for her no matter what her insecurities are, wherever she's afraid of about having the kid, being too old to have a kid, whatever. He's not going to judge her for it. And that's basically what the scene's there for, which is a good scene. We get to learn a little bit more about him. We don't really know too much about him other than he's a traveling musician, you know. So he's there. I'm there for you, honey, and I love you no matter what, which is a good thing. So we know she's got her rock. She's got her anchor. Okay. So there's that. But once again, I didn't watch And Just Like That to know about Nia's love life. You know. All right. They go visit the plastic surgeon, Anthony's plastic surgeon. They go for the appointment. Of course, the plastic surgeon automatically assumes that it's there for Carrie, but it's not. It's there for Anthony. And he says, oh, well, my receptionist must have screwed up. She's 22 years old, but she went to Oberel, so it means that I can't fire her. Whatever the hell that means. I mean, if you know what that means, let me know. I have no idea what that means. Does that mean like she's like an intern from an Ivy League school or something, or sexual harassment? I have no idea. But anyway, he assumes it's Carrie. Then he realizes Anthony. He tells Anthony, you look good. You're hot. He's flirting with them. He's flirting with both of them. Okay, what kind of plastic surgeon is this? You know, I thought I was watching like the beginning of a porn episode. You know, the way he's like, oh, you're handsome. You're hot, Anthony. You look great. Look at you. Oh my gosh, you don't need plastic surgery. Look at you. You're muscular. You've got the chiseled features. You know, you're 11. I mean, your creases are at 11. They're not at 12 yet. You look good. You're hot, Anthony. What about me? What about me? Okay, Carrie, well, let's see here. Yeah, you look pretty good too. You don't, I would not recommend you're beautiful. I wouldn't recommend a face. Well, maybe a half lift. Here, why don't you come over here? Let me show you what we can do with the computer, you know? And they have a virtual facelift for her. And of course, this is how they get you, okay? This is how they get you. Because everyone knows goddamn well that women spend a lot more money on plastic surgeons than men do, okay? And the men that do go to see plastic surgeons, they're not doing it for their face, okay? They're doing it for their Johnson. All right. So they use the virtual reality screen to show Carrie what he can do for her. He can take 15 years off of her. And she's like, oh, wow, you know? And of course, Carrie doesn't look very good. She hasn't been sleeping because of that noise in the apartment. She's got no makeup on. Her hair's pulled back. I mean, she's 55, but she looks 65, 75. Really, I mean, she don't look good there, you know? And when the computer shows what he can do for her, okay, we can, you're a hollower. He calls her hollow. It means that your stuff doesn't sag, it just goes inward. So we have to fill it up. We can fill it up with Botox. We can fill it up with all sorts of stuff. What's it here? And he says she needs a refresh. They call it a refresh, okay? Not a facelift, a refresh, okay? And he says something like, hey, you know what? Instagram, what would he say? He says, Instagram and Mother Nature are always harder on women than men, Which, there's some truth to that. Women predominantly, not all, but predominantly have more value for what they look like rather than how much money they have or something like that. Men are more concerned with what a woman looks like. I'm sorry, but it's true. First thing we notice, it's not the only thing that we look for, but it's true. I mean, the first thing we notice about a woman is what she looks like. What does she look like? Am I attracted to her? If that's a check, then move on to the next step. What is she like? What's her character? What kind of character is she like? What are her hobbies? What does she like to do? What things are important to her? Okay. But the first thing we do for most of us, okay, we notice is her looks. Okay. Sorry, it is. All right. And it's not fair for us either. I mean, come on, let's face it. Women go for the popular guy. The guy. It's funny. You got two guys here, right? Both of them are average looking. Okay. One guy standing by himself, and the other one is surrounded by 6 women. Okay, which one is the girl going to go towards? The cute guy by himself or the cute guy with the 6 women? The cute guy with the 6 women. You know why? Because the cute guy with the 6 women has already been approved by 6 other women. You see? So he's automatically more attractive. Both of them look the same, but the girls are all over this guy and not over him. So the guy that had all the girls over them are going to get the girls, okay? They're more attractive, okay? Girls, it's true. It's freaking true, all right? So, yeah, it's not fair for us either, okay? Sorry, but one of the things, that, is that men, pay attention to girls' looks. Well, for guys, that women tend to go towards the popular guys. They just do. All right, it's not fair, but who said dating was fair? All right, so there's that. They show in the CGI, the doctor shows her what she looked like. And, basically what it does is it shows her the way she looked like on the show. On Second Bite when she was 35 years old. I've been watching the old episodes again recently. And yeah, what they did is they de-aged her to make her look like the Sarah Jessica Parker from 1997. And she looked good. She looked good. I also thought Carrie looked good. So that was like, whoa, okay. And goes, Carrie's like, I remember that girl. That's kind of part of life, getting older. Okay, so Charlotte and Miranda and Carrie are out in the park. They're having their dinner again. They're drinking non-alcoholic wine, okay, in reference to Miranda's drinking. And Miranda basically says, don't freak out, Charlotte. Promise you're not going to freak out. She says, okay, I'm not going to freak out. Goes, well, you know what? I've been having fantasies about Shay, Carrie's boss. And Charlotte's like, oh, yeah, I have fantasies about her, too. We were on a boat. And she says, well, yeah, well, a different is I fucked Shay. He's like, what? You did what? And she freaks out. Oh, see, this is what I was afraid you're going to freak out. Of course I'm going to freak out. You're married. What's wrong with you? This big thing. Carrie's trying to be the mediator here, but it's not working too well. Miranda gets upset and basically tells Charlotte, oh, you're judging me. I should have known you would judge me. I don't have to put up with this, And then, of course, Charlotte tells her, you are not woke enough. Or is it woke enough? Or no, you're not same thing. You are not progressive enough for this, which means that you're too old to understand these new, gender study terms that are out there. You're too old for this stuff. You don't understand the way it is now, with your non-binary, cisgendered bullshit, fucking crazy, fucking LGBTQ plus talk. It's just fucking, it's crazy. It's fucking insane. And you're too old to understand that world yet. You don't even know if you're gay or not. And, it's just like, Miranda even calls Shay them. Who the fuck is them? Them, that's the correct pronoun to use for a non-binary. Fuck you. Like, you really need to know this shit? Like, I wanted to watch a show and be entertained. I don't want to take a fucking gender studies course, So anyway, so Miranda and Charlotte have it out, Carrie manages to bring Miranda back. Like, hey, listen, we already lost Samantha. I can't be losing any more people. So Miranda turns around and comes back. They're talking about Samantha like she's dead, but she's not. She's just in London, Okay, so Carrie, so Charlotte says the big thing, what everyone's thinking, like, what's wrong with staying the way you were? Well, you can't stay the way you were because that's not how life is. Even if you're standing still, life is going to keep moving forward no matter what. No matter what you do, life is going to keep moving forward. People can keep getting older. Even if you don't want to change, the world is going to change around you. People are going to change around you, even if you don't. So you might as well change as well. Okay, it's not good to stay where you are. You got to move forward. That's a good message. All right. So Carrie goes over there to the Hindu party for Seema. She talks to her parents. Her parents are questioning her about her boyfriend, Dennis, who doesn't exist. Carrie realizes she doesn't exist, that he doesn't exist, and that Seema's been lying to them, so she plays along with it, blah, blah, blah. She says, oh, yeah, I don't like her. Yeah, good. So then they're talking in the car, and Seema's smoking like crazy, of course. And Seema says, you know what? I know that Dennis doesn't exist. It's just easier for them if I tell them that I have one, and it's easier for me too. Carrie calls her out on that. Yeah, it's easier for you, more like it, to have a fake boyfriend. You know, she was like, oh, I know in my life that I don't have one, you know, this and that. She says she doesn't like the apartment. So it seemed like, okay, we'll get rid of it. We'll sell it. We'll get another place. No problem. So that problem's solved. Whatever. She gives the Carrie a bracelet, a Hindu bracelet, I guess is a sign of women's strength or something. I don't know. We go back to Charlotte's house. Apparently, the conversation Charlotte had with Miranda took her to heart. So she lets her daughter Rose change the picture on the wall. She gives Rose the haircut that she wanted. She wanted her hair chopped off. She did it for her. Okay, and I guess she's gonna start calling her Rock now. I don't know. I'm not gonna do a fucking song again, but whatever. So obviously, Charlotte's caving in. I don't see any sort of a give and take here, any sort of a compromise. I don't think Rose compromised anything to get what she wanted. I think she just told Charlotte, this is what I want and you better give it to me. And Charlotte's like, okay, honey, I'll do it. And of course, you know, Charlotte takes away the dolls too, because that's cultural appropriation. Not cultural appreciation, it's cultural appropriation, you know. I guess the writers decide which one is which, not us, the viewer. All right. So Miranda decides to text Shay. She wants to see Shay again. Well, that makes one of us that wants to see Shay again. I sure as hell don't. If she never shows up in another episode, I wouldn't care less. All right. Carrie wears the red dress. So, and she decides that it's time to not pretend like she has been doing that the past 15 years didn't happen, because they did happen, but it's time to accept it and move on. And that's what she decides to do. She puts on this red dress, and she puts on one of Big's blazers. And she walks out of the apartment like that, you know? Like, and maybe that has something to do with the plastic surgery. Like, I don't think she's gonna have the plastic surgery now. I think she's gonna decide, like, you know what? If I were to go back to looking like that again, like I did 15 years ago, it's like pretending the past 15 years didn't happen. And they did happen. And I don't want to give up those past 15 years. Those past 15 years were just as much a part of my life as when I was 35 was, you know? So I want to hold on to that. I want to hold on to all of it. Because all of it's me. All of it's important. The good, the bad, all of it is who I am. All of it's my experience. All of it makes me who I am. And I want to hold on to that. And that's a good message. I actually love that message. That's a really good message, you know? So that's the end for that episode. Hopefully we won't see Shay again, but I know we will, unfortunately. And that's it. You know, we've got 2 new characters on the show, and I'm sure we're going to spend a lot more screen time with them, even though they have very little interactions with the 3 main women on the show. So that's that. That's the episode, and just like that. All right.